Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You have tuned in to the Rebel News live stream on this, a Thursday, March the 10th, 2022. I'm David Menzies, and my co-host, well, let me tell you a little about my co-host. She has no time for nattering nabobs of negativity. She's always looking super-duper in her Mini Cooper. She is the Khaleesi of Leslieville. She is Natasha Biazzi. How you doing, Natasha? And thank you for filling in for the She-Devil.
I have waited my whole life for this moment, David Menzies. I am so excited to be hosting this live stream with you. For those of you who don't know, this is our daily live stream. It happens every day at 12 p.m. We're currently streaming on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, Super U, and Getter. If we say something a little too spicy, we may have to get off YouTube. So make sure you move to another platform. If that happens, we'll let you know. And we also will be accepting your chats throughout the show, but we usually read them at the end, so be sure to get those in, and we'd love to read your comments, questions live. How you doing?
I see a bright light. Have we gone to heaven? Did
I think so.
Did we
look great.
go to the great hereafter? Was there something in our morning oatmeal that made us go on the deceased list? Or is it just a studio light? I think it's a studio light.
I think it's the latter, yeah.
Well, folks, and by the way, I want to thank you for filling in for the She-Devil with a Sword.
Big shoes to fill.
Sheila Gunn Reid is busy in Alberta with a special assignment and couldn't be with us today, but she's not taking the day off. She never takes a day off.
Oh, no.
That's what makes her the She-Devil with a Sword.
Amazing.
Before we get into the meat of the matter, folks, and wow, there are some real great topics here, big list, we have a sponsor. Look at this little guy. Looks like a Canadian passport, doesn't it? Folks, do you know your rights? Do you know they're being eroded? Canadians may know the national anthem. Not me, Natasha. They keep changing the lyrics. And stand in silence to remember those who died for this country. But many don't know their fundamental rights and freedoms. The Freedom Passport is a convenient aid to keep you aware of your rights and to encourage others to know them. Resembling a Canadian passport, it contains the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms in an easy-to-read format. The protections in our charter include your beliefs and opinions and your expression of them, your right of assembly, and freedom of the press. You're entitled to criticize our government and offer solutions to our social problems. We at Freedom Passport want you, the bearer, to enjoy the freedoms many Canadians fought and died for. Those freedoms protect your ability to pass freely, without delay or hindrance, when stopped or confronted without reason. You can refer to this pocket-sized guide anytime your liberties are challenged. Visit our website for additional information and order a Freedom Passport for yourself and all the freedom lovers you love. Go to freedompassport.ca. That's freedompassport.ca. And wow, it does really resemble a Canadian passport,
It's
Natasha.
good quality.
Very good quality. It's got the rights and freedoms here. It's
good to know those.
Democratic rights, mobility rights. I'm going to channel Ed McMahon now from the Tonight Show. Natasha, I would hazard a guess that everything you need to know about your rights is in this passport.
Well, I'm sold. I'm going to buy one after the show. So.
Me too.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'll just do the old five-finger discount.
You saw it here first, folks.
But what a great idea this is.
Yeah, it is a great idea.
Because, it does fit in your breast pocket, and it's got, all the things you need to know, and more so than ever, folks, because when we see things like what Lincoln and I discovered in Ottawa a few weeks ago with the Checkpoint Charlies, questioning us for our papers, that it wasn't good enough to show a hotel reservation. They had to phone the front desk. When we see, what else have we seen? Oh, the allegedly F. Trudeau, and it's not even the full printed out F-bomb, folks. That is now flag non grata on Parliament Hill, according to the Parliamentary Protection Service. By the way, those cops are usually quite good. I've had good experiences with those guys. And this is not a law, Natasha. As I understand it, it's a memo, and now a memo is being enforced by police. I think that's why you need this.
Yeah.
To find out who's who in the zoo, so to speak, and to read the Riot Act to the people who are allegedly reading you the Riot Act. What do you think about that?
I think you're right, and I think a lot of people don't actually have a full understanding of their rights, and I think to have this compact little booklet, or you can download the app as well, I think it's fruitful to know, especially in these weird and confusing times.
Indeed, because our rights and freedoms still matter, and they matter greatly. Now, we have so many subjects to get to. Why don't we, we're in Ontario. I don't want to make this an Ontario-centric show, folks, but we are moving towards a benchmark date, I think, Natasha, in terms of the pandemic, and that is the mask mandate is finally going to be lifted. Now, on March 1st, by the way, that's March 21st for the mask. On March 1st, because the pandemic has a very busy schedule. We have to inform it of the new rules.
On vacation now, though.
I understand.
Yeah.
Well, March break is coming up.
Yeah,
So,
going to Miami.
Going to Miami and going to be a super spreader there, just like it was a super spreader for the Super Bowl participants in SoFi Stadium last month.
I heard that.
Yeah, well, I haven't heard anything about Los Angeles having an outrageous outbreak. But here's the thing. On March 1st, folks, the Vax Pass was lifted.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, we heard that certain folks who presumably have been hammered by the Vax Pass, I'm talking about gyms, Natasha, restaurants, cinemas, arenas.
Yeah.
Well, they like the idea of enslavement. And I speak of our visit. Mauricio and I went to a diner called the Times Square Diner. Love the retro theme of the diner. I heard the food is fantastic. It's probably the best Western in the city of Toronto. But you know what, folks? I'm going to have to take the rumors for face value because, as we found out, we weren't allowed in to dine because we're still part of the deplorables. And yet, this is not the province. This is not the city making the Times Square Diner request a Vax passport. They've taken it on upon themselves. Let's throw to some video and you'll see what I'm talking about, folks. Olivia's going to search for that video. By the way, while she is, what is your policy, Natasha? Because here's my deal. If you are a business and you are insisting on vaccination passports and come post-February 21st, the face diaper, I'm simply, you know what? You're not the only game in town. You're not a monopoly. I'm simply not going to patronize you.
Yeah. No, I think that's it's interesting that these places are taking it into their own hands. I do think that's kind of scary because Doug Ford did this on purpose. He was like, it's your choice because he doesn't want to be held accountable for this. And that's what scares me and susses me out about it because it's like you're literally doing this willingly. You're willingly discriminating. And yet so many of these restaurants and establishments have these like flags in their window. We won't discriminate flags and stuff. And it's like, but you are. You still are. And I guess they just don't want the business. That you'd think that these businesses who've been struggling for years would want everyone to be allowed in.
You know, that's an excellent point. At the Times Square Diner, the prominent flag in the window is the rainbow LGBTQ plus.
Right.
I don't know how many letters are
the
in
whole
that
alphabet.
Yeah.
The whole alphabet, David.
And sometimes Y. And that's in the window. Ostensibly, I think, meaning that if you're a member of that community, you are welcome. And the restaurateur said that all are welcome. Well, not so much so. And by the way, speaking of Doug Ford, he was asked at a presser today, Natasha, that when the mask mandate is lifted, are you still going to wear the mask? And again, he's not Ford Classic anymore, folks. He's a politician because what he said was that, well, when I go to visit my mother-in-law in long-term care, you betcha I'm wearing my mask. But that's part of the law still. There were certain healthcare, long-term care, public transit, they will still be beholden to the mask mandate. So, Natasha, the question really was, if you go to a restaurant, if you go to a shopping mall, an arena, are you going to wear a mask? And he didn't answer that.
Right. Well, and I don't think he would. I don't think he wants to. I mean, who really wants to wear one? I mean, it's interesting. Maybe he still wants the theatrics of it all to make it look like he's doing his part, but it's a little weird. It's
so disappointing.
It is disappointing.
One thing we have learned for sure, Natasha, is that Doug Ford is not Rob Ford. Not by a country mile. Anyways, I think we might have that video to our little visit to the Times Square Diner in Toronto.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in Toronto. Well, folks, on Tuesday, March the 1st, guess what? The Vax Pass requirement in the province of Ontario, it was shown the door and not a moment too soon. So you can go into theaters and gyms and restaurants without having to show proof of vaccination. But then we heard that, oh, well, guess what? I guess Toronto being Toronto, there are still some restaurants and other facilities that are requiring the vaccination passport, even though the province says there's no reason to do so. Well, we found this incredible to say the least. And we heard that one of the restaurants requiring this is the one right behind me, the Times Square Diner. I've heard they got great food, a wonderful ambience, but surely they are not all about still demanding your papers, given that the government no longer requires them to do so, and especially since we all know how the food service sector has been hammered these last 2 years with all these forced lockdowns. Surely they would welcome.
Says it's not needed anymore. Why would a restaurant need to see it? Oh, okay. Yeah, hi, sir. I the lady was asking for the Vax Pass, but I thought that ended on Tuesday.
It ended on Tuesday? Not here. Not in the restaurant.
Not in the
Not in
restaurant.
our restaurant.
Wow.
Covering your nose with your mask?
Oh, are you really that afraid, or?
Am I that afraid?
Cheeky.
So I'm just wondering if the chief medical health officer says they're not needed, why would, restaurant employees require this, sir?
Restaurant employees required.
That I have a Vax passport because the province ended it, right?
The province, yeah, they end a lot of things. But in a private business, we decided to continue checking. Our customers feel safer with it in place. Can I ask why you're coming here and recording?
Well, I just want to get a bit of bacon, have a bowl of soup, and I didn't know there was like medical apartheid.
Yeah, so you're still recording.
Yeah. So, but can you explain why I thought the restaurant sector was,
Are you going to show your QR code to dine in, or do you like takeout?
we would rather dine in because we thought the QR codes ended on, did they end on Tuesday?
It's ended only if the establishment.
You're still recording.
Okay.
I would rather you not record me without my permission.
Oh,
If
okay.
you do record someone, you should let them know that you are recording.
Sure, but like you're not letting us in to dine when it's no longer a provincial law to have a QR
You
code.
can have whatever you like. You set up a table for you outside. You can dine outside. We don't refuse any service at all to anybody.
But you are refusing service.
No, I'm not refusing service. I am saying to you, we can still serve you. You have to take it to go or sit outside anyway.
Okay, so you want us to sit outside and it's like minus 13 with the wind chill.
It's up to you. You can take it home. You can eat in the car.
Okay.
You can do it. But to dine inside in this restaurant, for the time being, you must show us your QR.
Oh, that's a good point. When does this end, sir?
I don't know.
So maybe this is the policy forever then, that you need a QR
I
code?
couldn't answer that.
Okay then.
For
But
the time being, we're speaking about today.
once upon a time it was illegal to ask for. Oh, you're so. It doesn't work with a beard. The mask.
Sir, I don't mean to be
Yeah.
rude to you, and I don't want to be. I'm asking you politely. Please, to show us your QR code. We have homemade soup. We have nice sandwiches. You can stay and eat.
Okay.
If you don't have it, you can make it to go.
But would you exclude somebody based on race or
Sir, could you
religion?
cover your nose, please?
Oh, okay. It's a big nose. It keeps sliding down.
Well,
It's
it's a good nose. It's a good nose.
Well, thank you. I don't get many compliments on it. What about the mask rules coming?
Oh, man.
Wow, so much to digest there, but to cut to the chase, folks, to quote a certain infamous Seinfeld character, no soup for you at the Times Square Diner. I mean, my goodness gracious. The irony is staggering, I think. They were a little perturbed that we were filming. They thought that was a violation of their privacy, and yet they're asking me to provide medical history when they are no longer obligated to do so by the chief medical health officer. What's your take on this, Natasha?
Well, first of all, talk about being on the wrong side of history. They're going to look back on this and they will regret this. You're turning away a willing customer.
Yep.
They like your nose. They like your vibe. What's wrong with you? I'm appalled that people are that they think this is okay, because I just don't understand how you could justify it, especially with that big rainbow flag in your window. I really don't get it.
Yeah, we're all about inclusion at the Times Square Diner, but, well, not really. I mean, and here's the thing. I bet those cats at the Times Square Diner, they know how to make a mean club sandwich and a great bowl of homemade soup. But what makes them think they have a degree in virology, that they know more than the chief medical health officer? Natasha, we've been told since day one of this pandemic, we're following the science.
Yeah.
And that was in context with locking you down, having your job lost if you didn't get double vaxxed, etc. And now that the science from our chief medical health officer says, you know what? It's okay. We've weathered the storm. We can sail on in clear skies. These guys are still demanding this. Why?
I don't know. I mean, my husband called a music venue at Queen and Spadina recently because he wanted to go see a band play this weekend. And when he called, because he had heard that they were requiring proof of vaccination, and he asked them, and they said, we're just not ready. But when will you be ready? You've had 2 years to prepare for this. Like, when will you be ready?
Well, that is the question. They're not ready. And what gives them the scientific basis? I bet you they know how to set up amplifiers and provide electric guitars and what have you. I bet they're experts at that.
Make a mean rum and coke, I'm sure.
Absolutely,
You know?
but what makes them think they're virologists? You know, that they're COVID-19 experts.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. By the way, you know, and when you talk about the science, you know, several times I was told to put my mask up. You saw the waitress. I don't know if you noticed that, folks, with the mask below her nose. And by the way, what a rude greeting that was. The moment Maurizio and I walked into the diner, your papers, please, your QR code. Not, hey, folks, how you doing?
Yeah.
You know, and the other thing, these masks, we've been told, this seems to have been forgotten. It doesn't really work when you have a beard. It doesn't work, period, because they are, by definition, non-medical masks. And there was one other, if you go to the full video, folks, as we're exiting the restaurant, I'm making my final comments.
They're filming you?
Yeah, they're filming me now, and I don't mind. And by the way, the offer was rescinded. They said they would set up a table outside the restaurant.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, and it was minus 13 with the wind chill that day, folks. You know, what wonderful ambience, right? Keep the hot chocolate flowing. I'm freezing here. And then he rescinded that offer.
Oh.
And he didn't give me an explanation why. I guess I asked too many prickly questions, but there was a friend of his came. He was walking a dog. I don't know if he brought the dog into the restaurant later. It certainly wasn't a service dog.
Oh, no.
But he, Natasha, had his mask below his nose. And I said, by the way, sir, they're very serious about the masking. There he is. And I informed him that he better put the mask up over his nose. And he said, it doesn't matter. So they're picking and choosing
Oh, my goodness.
when and where to enforce these crazy rules. You know, I was reading through some of the comments, and there was a commentator that said, this is kind of akin to, you know, the end of segregation in the Deep South, and it's the 1960s, and a black person goes to a diner in, say, Mississippi, and the restaurateur says, we don't serve your kind here. And he says, but segregation is over. And the restaurateur then says, not at this diner. Oh. It's the same thing, not based on race, of course, but based on vax status. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, I don't wish this restaurant any ill will, but I'll say this. There are literally thousands of restaurants in Toronto. All go to places that welcome me as a full citizen and not one of the deplorables, the filthy, unwashed masses, because that was the vibe I was getting at the Times Square diner.
And how dehumanizing.
Oh, yeah.
How dehumanizing. And I mean, it's important to note a lot of people didn't just not choose to take the vaccine. A lot of people physically could not, too. So what about those people? Like, where's the love for them? Why are we not extending our kindness to those people? Like, they don't have a physical choice either. And not that should matter, you know, but to an extent, it's like, what the heck?
Yeah. I mean, and you can't, you know, fall back on I'm just following orders, i.e. from the provincial government or the chief medical health officer. That card is gone. And to go back to what you said earlier, Natasha, I think that was really cowardly of Ford in a way.
It was.
That we're going to... we don't want to be the heavy anymore. You're going to be the heavy. Mm-hmm. And this just further fuels the
Divide.
division in society.
Yeah, it's such a divisive thing, and that's what governments do, though. They've done it throughout history, right? This whole divide and conquer, and it seems to have really worked. I mean, we're seeing it, especially now that the mandates have lifted, just how divided we still are.
100%.
It's sad, and I hope it can be remedied, but I'm not so optimistic.
Yeah, and here's, the elephant in the room, I guess, is do you think, and I don't have an answer to this, I'm 50-50, will there be a time in the weeks and months, maybe even years ahead, where there's a presser down at Queen's Park and, well, you know what, folks, if it was up to me, well, it is up to you, Doug, I wouldn't lock you down. Do you think that could, as things are slowly starting to open, Natasha, do you think there could be another lockdown if case counts spike?
I do. I think that Theresa Tam has even predicted in the fall, come fall, that a lot of these mandates and restrictions will be implemented once more. So stay tuned for that, y'all. Enjoy your freedom while you still have it. But I don't see why they wouldn't. They know that we'll oblige. They know we'll comply. Yeah. Like we've kind of failed ourselves in that regard.
Wow. Unbelievable. So maybe we're not out of the woods yet, folks. By the way, whose voice annoys you more, Dr. Tam or Prime Minister Trudeau?
Oh, that's a tough one.
I know.
I think Trudeau, because I don't know. What about you? I think his voice is just, ugh.
It's too many ums and ahs with Trudeau, unless he's talking about something he really likes, like drama.
Marijuana.
Then, then he's an orator on the level of Sir Winston Churchill. But that monotone of Dr. Tam and that weird accent.
It does throw you.
Oh, you know, and it's almost like speaking to Alexa on, Apple. I mean, it seems like a synthesized voice. That's just me, but I digress. Well, so many topics here, Natasha, since you're the co-host. What do you want to talk about next? What gets your goat?
Well, this is something that we kind of were briefly talking about, but there was an article about how it's how the pandemic brought the worst in people. I think that's really interesting. And then maybe talking about how to mask in a maskless world. I think that'll be fun because some restaurants are going to, obviously we've seen are implementing the vax mandate, but some people are still going to choose to mask despite those restrictions being erased. So that's interesting. So maybe we talk about this? What do you think?
100%. And I think, here's my take, Natasha, that especially after the mask mandates have gone the way of the dinosaur, if you're still wearing a mask when you're no longer obliged to do so, either by the government or a private business, I think this is less about health. This is less about you preventing yourself from getting infected and more about symbolism. And much like, a Muslim woman would wear a hijab, a Christian woman would wear a cross, right? A Sikh would wear a turban.
It's the religion of COVID.
Yeah. And what you're advertising, I think, is I dig big government. I dig lockdowns. I dig being told what to do. And you know what? The demographic that I see most prevalent in buying into this, inexplicably, I think, is the younger people.
Yeah.
On campus. Half a century ago, they were out there against the man. They were protesting the Vietnam War, for example. They were protesting for civil rights. I guess all those battles have been fought and won, but inexplicably, they're on side with the man who they used to give their middle finger to. What happened? Is this, Natasha, just pure indoctrination?
Yeah, I really think so. I think that it's part of it is because our society is so into conformity. No one wants to swim upstream with the pressures of social media, with the pressures of the mainstream media, Hollywood even, like they're all pushing this one kind of compliant narrative. And I think kids are scared, young people are scared to stand out of the crowd now because there's so much canceling and doxing that comes as a result. So I do think that's part of it. And that isn't an excuse, but social media, it's tough to navigate as a young person.
100%. If you are looking for reading material, folks, please read Mark Levin's American Marxism. I guess in Canada it would be called Canadian Marxism. That's what it is, as Natasha referred to. All facets of society, Hollywood, professional sports, the education system, the justice system, schools, academia. They are all going down this line. And as I said to Shirley the other day, the feeling, I think, is that whether you're a advertising agency on Madison Avenue selling beer or a Marxist selling ideology, get them young, get them forever.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Oh, there's the book. There we go.
Yes.
Probably get that on Amazon. I'll buy it today after I buy my Freedom Pass.
Yeah, get it on Amazon before Amazon determines that is reading material non grata. And it is absolutely excellent. Mark Levin, a true scholar for our times, and that book is chilling. And I like that term that he's trying to popularize. I don't think far left is good enough anymore. I don't think progressive is good enough anymore. I think we should call people in America that buy into Marxism as American Marxists.
Yeah.
And in Canada, Canadian Marxists. That's what they are.
No, it's true. Call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point.
100%. And now we are moving right along. By the way, do we have a system set up? Because this is usually Sheila's bailiwick for Super Chats.
I think typically we just read those at the end, and I think they come up on the teleprompter here, but you guys should send them throughout the show because we will happily read them when we round the show out at the end here. Is that typically your process, David?
Yeah, I think Sheila has some sort of device. You see, I am unfrozen caveman journalist, folks. The fast-moving cars and tall buildings frighten and confuse me, so I need the intellectual journalist here at Rebel News to figure out a way to read those chats. You know, she's not just a pretty face.
Oh, see, we have
there
it
you
up.
go.
We have it up on the screen.
Well, fire away, because I know Mr. Producer Efren, he likes a new system where every 15 minutes we read Super Chats.
That's a great idea.
Traffic and weather on the ones. No, that's another radio station. Anyways, you fire away.
Oh, sure. So this is from Twinks. Thank you for your $2 donation. It's not the restaurants that are the problem with leaving it up to businesses. It's the factories and other employers who are still pushing no jab, no job. Yeah. That is a good point. I mean, we can't forget that there are still these huge employers that are mandating it to their employees without cause, really.
100%. And some of the worst are unionized environments. And here's the problem, Natasha. With few exceptions, and our wonderful colleague Tamara Ugolini did a wonderful commentary on the Hamilton Transit Union, Local 107, I believe, that was actually going to bat for the unvaccinated members. But
Shocking.
whether you're private or public sector unions, Unifor, one of the worst, they are saying to their members, yeah, we're simpatico with management here. And I'm saying to myself, what the hell am I paying union dues for if you're just an extension of the arm of management? What is motivating unions when it comes to them, Natasha, throwing the rank and file under the bus?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't understand. I really don't understand this decision because unions are, from my understanding, are supposed to be for the people.
Yeah.
But then again, so is our government, and we know that they haven't really proven that recently. It must be politics. It's all politics at this point.
You know what? And I'm still trying to square that circle. And the reason I'm really concerned about unionized folks is the fact, Natasha, that if you are a member of a union as part of the collective bargaining agreement, you have given up so many labor law rights when it comes to filing a wrongful termination. If you go to a labor lawyer, the first question they ask you when you have a wrongful termination complaint, are you unionized or non-unionized? Because if you're unionized, almost always, sorry, there's the door. I can't help you.
Wow.
And that's, you know, so whether you're with Air Canada, whether you're with one of the big automakers, you not only are terminated with cause or suspended with cause and not eligible for EI, but you can't seek restitution in the courts.
Wow. That's incredible. I also can't really reconcile the fact that some of these companies have now dropped their vaccine mandate and are asking employees to come back. Like, what would you do if you were terminated and then you were offered your job back? Like, hey, yeah, just come back. Like, that's Crazy.
Oh, look at the shortage in nursing right now.
Yeah.
The so-called frontline heroes, and they became frontline zeros the moment the vaccine was invented. And now I understand they're being courted. Hey, let's forgive and forget.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, I would want an apology and a little do-re-mi because you made things tough for me. It is absolutely despicable.
And a promise that they won't do it again.
Oh,
Like how can they prove this won't happen again in the fall?
well, that's a very good point, Natasha. I spoke to somebody who was, I don't think we ever did a video on it, but I spoke on the phone with a long-term care facility person who was, I think, in a supervisor role. She started her career at 18. She has worked now for more, I think it was 23 years. Stellar record, didn't want to get the jabs. And she asked her employer, I'll get because basically it was get the jabs or no job. And she said, if you give me a letter, right, guaranteeing that if there's any adverse effects, that you will be responsible for that. You will pay the cost of recovery, the treatment, what have you. And guess what? The answer was no. So it's kind of like, trust us, but we're not going to put it in writing.
Oh, my goodness.
And she's out of her job. So there you go. There's a lot. Well, why don't we talk about the federal leadership campaign? We saw last night Roman Baber, the Ontario MPP, who was turfed for not going along with the Doug Ford lockdown mandates. Apparently, like Home on the Range, that song, seldom is heard a discouraging word. And if it's heard at Queen's Park, Sheriff Ford will kick you out of caucus. So good for Roman. I understand, and this was a surprise, we got into his little press conference last night in North York. I believe it was Dakota and Isabel that went there. And it's a surprise because we've been trying, myself, Tamara Ugolini, to interview Roman Baber, but he seems to be of the mindset that he doesn't want to get too close with Rebel because he's courting the mainstream media. Well, listen, Roman, I know you won't come on camera with me, but those mainstream media people, they hate you. Yeah. They hate the fact that you are anti-lockdown. And but maybe he's seen the light, or perhaps the gatekeeper last night was asleep at the switch, didn't recognize Dakota and Isabel. But there's some video. And, in terms of the lockdowns, I got to tell you, I'm completely simpatico, Natasha, as is the other staff members here at Rebel, with his stance on being anti-lockdown. How bizarre he would be so standoffish to us and our 1.6 million YouTube followers.
Yeah, also kind of interesting that he was booted out of the PC party, and yet he's running as a conservative now. I find that interesting. I guess those wounds have healed. I don't know. It's kind of interesting, though.
There's many dichotomies, and it was funny. He was anti-lockdown, yet he supported Melissa Lantsman as the candidate for the Conservative Party in Thornhill. And that's notable, folks, because Melissa Lantsman had the nickname Lockdown Lantsman. One of her clients was Walmart, and she went to Doug Ford and made damn sure that, just like the LCBO, Walmart wasn't going to shut down for a single day. And yet, so Roman Baber is anti-lockdown. Why does he throw his support with someone with the nickname Lockdown Lantsman?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like best practices there, Roman. I'm not sure. I'm not too sure. Do you think he'll have a successful campaign? Because we were talking about this earlier, some of us other Rebels, and he has a bit of a fan base here in Ontario, but I don't think a lot of people outside of Ontario really know who he is.
Yeah. I think this is a legitimate race for the leadership of the Conservative Party. It's tonight, isn't it, in Alberta that Jean Charest is officially, or was that last night? I think it's tonight. I mean, it's the worst kept secret that he will be running for the Conservative Party leadership, and he's announcing it in Calgary. By the way, what's the over-underline on whether or not he'll be wearing a cowboy?
It should be a requirement. I want to see that.
I'm betting the ranch that he's going to wear a Stetson, hey, y'all, I'm one of you. Well, not really. You were a premier in Quebec as a member of the Liberal Party. Does this not speak volumes of where we are in terms of the kind of people that are leading this party, Natasha?
Yep.
That this guy can't pick a lane. It seems that being a Liberal provincially and a Conservative federally are the same thing.
Yeah, I think it's all about the paycheck at the end of the day. Like, he just wants to make a career out of this, I'm assuming, and just, get his money.
I think it's all about the doom strategy that we saw Aaron O'Toole and Andrew Scheer pursue, which is bend the knee to the Laurentian elites, bend the knee to the mainstream media, and hopefully they will vote for you. But they won't.
No.
Why would you vote Liberal Light when you can get Liberal Classic with Justin Trudeau?
It's funny, like, even going back to Roman, as you said, about kind of playing the mainstream media's game. Like, why are we bending a knee to these people who hate us?
Yeah.
It's you won't win. It's a losing battle. And you'd think the Conservatives, after 2 years of lockdowns and seeing that kind of narrative shift more towards freedom, that they would be pandering to people who are actually aligned with the Conservative values.
100%. And what I'm afraid of, because I think we've been so snake bitten in the last 2 or 3 years, Natasha, is candidates proclaiming, like Scheer, like O'Toole, like Doug Ford, like Jason Kenney, so whether it's provincial or federal, that they are true blue Conservatives, and once they get leadership of the party or power in office, suddenly they're red Tories. So as much as I love Pierre, and I like what he's saying, and I think he's probably the front runner, I wouldn't be surprised if he too goes that route, that the inner circle of handlers, and God, I hope the likes of a Corey Hahn isn't part of that team, gets them to drift over to courting the Laurentian elites. I hope the likes of a Pierre is going to be true blue when and if he's leader.
No, I agree. I do think that we can't blame it all on the leadership. I think this is to the core of the party. And I think a lot of people are just too excited to have Pierre potentially be prime minister that they're going to forget what happened. But the Conservative Party has failed to stand up for us these 2 years. They have. Yeah. Where have they been? And until the truckers' convoy, we hadn't really heard any of them speak out about any of these things. So it's, I don't know, I feel a bit hesitant to trust any of these people. And I think it's important to be critical.
100%. Like I said, you can only put your hand in that basket so many times and get bitten by that rattler before you have that enlightened moment where, you know what, I think I'm going to put gloves on. And by the way, I smell a rat that might be entering the race, maybe as soon as tomorrow. Folks, I can't believe it, but sneaky Patrick Brown, the mayor of Brampton, there's a lot of chatter that he could be entering this race. This would be an unmitigated disaster for the Conservative Party. And I don't say that in terms of the personal baggage I have with sneaky Patrick Brown, but just for those of you who might not be familiar with the mayor of Brampton, the man who would have been premier, if not, thank God, for a palace coup in January of 2018. Let's see what this says about his character. We go back to 2020 when Patrick Brown shut down all the playgrounds, all the soccer fields and cricket pitches and baseball diamonds for the kids in Brampton, hired a security team to rat them out to by law enforcement. Oh, but meanwhile, did Patrick Brown go out playing with his buddies? Check out this footage.
Yeah, he hasn't showed up yet.
Oh,
okay. He does play here, though, right?
He does.
Oh, okay. Then that confirms it.
Rear of the building.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can't have people just randomly coming in here.
Oh, why is that? I see a whole bunch of hockey players playing a game, sir.
Rented the ice.
Well, folks, we're getting the bums rush, but holy mackerel, I think I see Patrick Brown himself.
Oh, hey, how you doing?
Mr. Brown, right?
Yeah.
David Menzies with Rebel News.
You're in a city facility?
What's that?
You're in a city facility?
Yeah, so are you.
Yeah.
So, are you playing hockey here? Or?
No, I'm just coming to check in our facility. So
Okay,
we're gonna check you. You're not supposed to be here, actually.
We were told that you play pickup here. Mr. Brown, how come the kids in Brampton can only practice sports, but your buddies can play hockey?
So, I don't know why you are harassing people in the city of Brampton, but you shouldn't be.
Oh, who's harassing who? Your guy handed out 122 bylaw violations in 1 week. Mr. Brown, why is there a hockey game going on in this arena? I thought you're only allowed to practice sports, not play them. And who is paying the $1,000 a day, Mr. Brown, for this rink? Mr. Brown, are these taxpayer dollars being used for your buddies to play hockey on this rink? Or are you paying it? Or perhaps Waleed Solomon? So, Mr. Brown, why is there one law for me and one law for thee in this city?
Terrible parking job.
Mr. Brown?
You know, how beautiful would it have been, Natasha, for that Mercedes SUV not to turn over? It sounded like there were some engine issues there. But here's the thing, folks. Based on that, is this the face of the person you want to be the Conservative leader? Is this the man that you think has the right stuff to be Prime Minister? This lying liar, this crying crybaby, this shameless skirt chaser, is this who you want? His hockey bag is in the rink. It has his name and number on it. 00, by the way, Natasha. So there was a little truth in advertising. And yet, what is he saying? He was there to inspect the arena. Because, of course, being the mayor of the city, that's what's expected of them, to don an Armani suit and go down and check the Freon levels and the oil levels of the Zamboni. Can you believe this guy, how shameless he is?
No, I cannot believe it. And I think my biggest take away from this video was, if he can't even park a car, he's supposed to lead our country? No thanks, Patrick. No thanks.
Is that not the ultimate douchebag move, to take up two spaces?
Yeah.
That, too, speaks of entitlement on the roads. And, you know, I can tell you, folks, the lying just continued. This is such a liar. Natasha, if Patrick Brown were to spit in your face, he'd tell you it's raining, okay? But he said on Twitter, I believe it was, that I falsely identified myself, that I was with Maple Leafs TV. Now, first of all, you heard me, I'm sure, say David Menzies, Rebel News. The mic flash says Rebel News. And you know what, Patrick, when you are crafting a lie, because this is what happens to compulsive liars, they get trapped by their lies. There isn't and never was a Maple Leafs TV. There was Leafs TV, and that got rebranded as Leafs Nation TV. Maple Leafs TV, no, that's just a figment of your decrepit brain. So, again, you want to, if you're creating an alibi for yourself, and I got to tell you, we never did a video on this, but it was in... There's a magazine out in an online magazine, I think it's called The Pointer, in the Brampton area, and they do great work. And they followed through on the Integrity Commissioner examination of Patrick Brown.
Yes.
And folks, I kid you not. First of all, when Mayor Brown became mayor of Brampton, and this was very much an astute move on his part, although it's slimy beyond words, he appointed a personal friend as the new integrity commissioner. And she went through all the footage, the complaints, everything. And the only thing she found him in violation of was not wearing a mask in a city facility. There you go. Exoneration, So look at that. There's the evidence. 0-0, Patrick Brown. I wonder who picked up that bag, given that he ran for the hills as soon as he saw us, right? But as they say in Vegas, folks, the fix is in. When Patrick Brown crosses the line, no problem. The integrity commissioner, personal friend, and I don't even know if there was any kind of financial penalty for not wearing a mask. It was really just come on, Mr. Mayor, do better next time.
But you have to ticket everyone else.
Oh, big time.
Make sure they pay. But,
big time.
But you're exempt.
Yeah.
Nice.
So here I'll ask you, what do you think the odds are that he could be a potential leader for the Conservative Party? Which, and folks, by the way, I don't want you to think this is personal. In January 2018, as I referred to, he was the victim of a palace coup. And this was just months before the June election. And the Progressive Conservative Party of Ontario frog marched him out of Queen's Park. I'll never forget that. It was like that Cersei walk of shame from Game of Thrones, right? Shame, down the back entrance of the legislature building into a salt-stained minivan. Oh, death, where is thy sting? And the reason for that, folks, is that when Patrick Brown was running as leader, and it goes to what we were talking about before, Natasha, he was a friend to the Social Conservatives. And as soon as he became leader, he threw the Social Conservatives under the bus. You're not needed here. Then, inexplicably, he threw the Fiscal Conservatives under the bus because his first agenda in becoming premier, he announced at the Canadian Club, was that he was going to introduce an Ontario carbon tax. I can tell you the crowd, the silence was deafening until one guy in the back went, no! So when he ran out of Conservatives to throw under the bus, the party threw him under the bus because they realized we might blow this thing, even with Kathleen Wynne's record. So surely, please, I'm looking for some self-assurance here, Natasha. Please tell me this is a no-hoper candidate.
I think like 100 million%, because those who vote Conservative, even those who maybe hadn't prior, but given everything that's happened in the pandemic, have kind of shifted center right, are looking for a Conservative leader. They need someone who is actually an opposition to the Liberals and the NDP. And Patrick Brown has kind of already said that he wants to be more center. He wants to, and that's just not what Conservatives are looking for right now, I don't think. So I really think that it's going to be all right, David.
I hope so. I believe me, if he does become leader, folks, Conservatives out there, you will pine for the glory days of Aaron O'Toole and Patrick Brown is leading this party. And the second thing is, so what is the unspoken strategy? Here's what I'm thinking. He knows he doesn't really have a chance, but it's about raising his profile. And maybe he'll run again as a Barrie MP. That's what he used to be. He has absolutely nothing to do with Brampton. This is a guy that seeks power for the reason of seeking power, folks. I mean, when he was running for mayor, oh my God, look at that. And look who his poster is. I mean, back in the day, I think I had Farrah Fawcett Majors or the Fonz from Happy Days, but it's Jean Charest as Patrick Brown. I don't know who he's chatting with, for goodness sakes, but
his mom,
maybe his mom, yeah. But golly, and by the way, if he was such a supporter of Charest back then, whenever that photo was taken, then why is he coming into the race to throw a spanner in the works with his idol? That's who I assume you put, posters up on your wall. Have you ever put the poster of a politician on your wall?
No. No. Although I did have that Trump poster that I was hanging in my office, but then I handed that over to you. But
you know what?
Other than that,
I will make an exemption for that, indeed. So to close my thought on Patrick Brown, this is about raising his profile, I think. And, folks, I'm not kidding you. When he ran for the mayor of Brampton, which is, an hour and a half away from his real stomping grounds, Barrie, he has no connection with it. And on the hustings, many times Patrick Brown referred to the city of Brampton as Barrie. So what does that tell you? I think when you get the city name wrong, where you're right, how sincere are you?
No, that's bad. Not a good look, Patrick.
Wow. Yeah, not at all. All righty. So, again, we're almost getting to the end of the racetrack here. First of all, we should find out, do we have any more super chats?
Yeah, great idea.
Yes. All right.
All right, this is from Georgie. Thank you for your $1. Hey guys, will you guys be hosting Rebel events soon?
Well, there is a Democracy Fund event
next week.
The 15th, I believe, Natasha?
I believe so.
Yeah.
No, the 16th, I think. Can we pull that up?
Yeah.
Just to show people?
Because there's still tickets available.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, folks, don't wait around too long. These, we've had, 3 already?
Yeah,
and they've all sold out, haven't they?
And this time we have Dennis Prager and Amala Ekpunobi and Dr. Julie Panesi, so it's going to be a great one. I mean, everyone loves PragerU.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be a really fruitful event, talking about censorship, civil liberties, the good stuff y'all love. And
just for Dr. Panesi, she's worth the price of admission. But with her guests that night, what a star-studded show.
Definitely. And you can buy your tickets to watch via Zoom or to go in person to the Canada Christian College. And tickets are only $10. So, that's like a Starbucks drink, really.
Oh, absolutely. And that venue, it is run by our good friend, Dr. Charles McVitie. I'm telling you, folks, I think this is one of the most, if not the most, technologically rich venues to see these speakers. I mean, I felt with the introductions, with the smoke, the lights, the music, I thought it was like a WWE show, Natasha.
Or like a basketball championship.
Oh,
it was amazing.
It is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So good on Charles for being part of creating that venue. So there's your answer. Any more chats there, Mrs. Producer Olivia? Oh, yeah, we are.
This is from Annalisa, 1964. Thank you for your $10. Hello, sweet Menzie. Ooh,
oh, my goodness. Is that my Me Too moment virtually?
Oh, my. Should we call
so
HR?
Nice. Annalisa, I hope one day I get to meet you because you are so super nice. Much more nice than you should be.
I think we have a couple more chats here to get through. This is from Cushy1124. Thank you for your $5. The best part of how happy Patrick looked to be interviewed until he heard you were from Rebel. That's funny. Guarantee he wouldn't have an issue if you were Leafs TV, the hypocrisy. Well, Rebel News, we like to show you guys the other side of the story and ask those tough questions, and I think politicians just don't like that.
You know what, Patrick Brown, if you or one of your spies is watching this live stream, I'm going to throw out that offer again. I'll dust off the pads, get onto the ice. We'll have a little one-on-one. Loser leaves Canada. How about that? You think he'll go for that? Geez, what if I let the goal in?
I was just going to say, what if you lose? No. I'm going to veto that idea.
Okay.
I think we have one more chat here.
All right.
This is from Johnston666. Thank you for your $1. David is damn hilarious, and his reporting on P. Brown. Can you guys meet up again? He probably misses you, David. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I can tell you, sir. We did meet up again in that summer of 2020. We kept going back to the rink just to show you what a coward Patrick Brown was. He started changing the days and times in which he was playing pickup. But there's so many people in his city that hate him. We were always being informed of the new information. And in September of 2020, as he and his Barrie buddies were playing hockey in a city facility while the kids of Brampton were locked out of all the playgrounds and sports facilities, the police were called, and it was something like, I think, 4 or 5 cruisers. Security came as well. And I was arrested, handcuffed, stuffed in a cruiser. I wasn't even in the rink, folks. I was on the parking lot of a taxpayer-funded recreation facility, the Earnscliffe Center, I do believe. Mm-hmm. And just recently, guess what? We won our case in court. The Crown prudently decided, thanks to the advice of our wonderful Ottawa lawyer, David Amber, that there was no reasonable grounds of prosecution, so the charges were dropped. Rebel wins, Brown loses yet again. And thank goodness, because forget about the fine, forget about something on my record, etc. If we have a society, and it comes back to what this is all about, the Freedom Passport. If we have a society in which you walk on a taxpayer-funded parking lot to practice journalism, and that's a crime, while the real crime is going on indoors, at least a bylaw crime, that's a very sad situation, Natasha.
That's a scary situation.
For sure.
You know, it just speaks to how our rules for thee, not for me, right?
100%.
Which we've seen throughout the pandemic.
Yes.
Quite endlessly.
It is an ongoing theme, and I think, you know, when the dust settles and the smoke clears, Natasha, I think there really should be royal commissions struck to investigate how governments worked during this pandemic, bureaucracies worked, and most importantly of all, how chief medical health officers worked in terms of shutting down businesses, throwing people out of work. And I base this on the hypocrisy of it all. In Toronto, November 2020, the Adamson barbecue, Dr. Cruella de Villa in Toronto decided, oh no, Adam Skelly, you can't operate a barbecue restaurant, when literally 300 or so meters down the road was a Costco cooking up their food. Nothing to see here, folks. I think there has to be a day of reckoning, almost like a Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
Yeah, justice definitely does need to be served. And hopefully the next leader of the Conservative Party can help serve that justice.
And hopefully it won't be served at the Times Square Diner, because you'll need a Vax Pass to get in to chew down on that. Right now, you'll have to settle for today's special, COVID Karen on a bun with fries.
Doesn't sound good to me. We have one more chat here.
Fantastic.
This is from Bill CF7. Thank you for your $1. David, does Brown have to resign as mayor to run for, I guess, the leader of the Conservative Party?
You know what? That's a great question. And I'm going to look into it. I'm not going to spread fake news because the convention is September 10th, you know, for the Conservatives that weekend to choose a leader. The municipal elections this year, 2022, in Ontario, I believe are in October, right? So if he flames out, or I should say when he flames out, would he still be allowed to run? I think you can take, you know, and I'm not sure, but what do you think, Natasha? Can you recuse yourself, a temporary leave of absence without giving up your gig?
Yeah, this is a bit outside of my scope. I'm not too sure either, but it's definitely worth looking into.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. It is. If I had to bet, if I was a gambling man, and I am, I would say he can keep his gig, because there's no way I could see Patrick Brown making that kind of a sacrifice. And we have some
couple more chats there, yeah. 2 more here, I think. I think they're just having a little... There we go. From Fraser McBurney, thank you for your $5.
Thank you.
Facts are, no matter who becomes leader of the Conservative Party, the Conservatives are at best a Liberal party. That's fair.
Yeah, I think under Scheer and O'Toole, they drifted left of center 100%. That's why I think we need a populist. That's why we need a really true blue Conservative. And isn't the proof in the pudding, Natasha? The last 2 times, despite all the scandal in Justin Trudeau's closet, right? From blackface to how he handled SNC Lavalin to Gropegate, the list goes on. Neither Scheer nor O'Toole could oust this guy from office. So the proof is in the pudding. Like I said, you can't go Liberal light. It doesn't work.
No, especially now, I think, like I said earlier, as we've seen from the convoy, people really want a conservative leader, like a true conservative. And I think that's what the people deserve at this point, too.
I agree. And also, more proof in that proverbial pudding, folks. Look at how well, in terms of a percentage of a vote, that the People's Party of Canada did. Now, granted, they didn't get a single MP elected. And I was kind of surprised because I thought there was a good chance that Maxime Bernier would reclaim Beauce, Quebec. It wasn't to be. But still, especially with those in the mainstream media, this was shocking. The increase in percentage. And I can tell you, if Aaron O'Toole was echoing some of the planks of Maxime Bernier, for example, defunding the CBC, which he would approach like the third rail in a transit system. It'd be way too controversial for him. Those percentage points, those votes could have gone to him, but he sacrificed it.
Yeah, I think especially because he didn't have a very bold stance on the vaccine passports. Like, he was very wishy-washy about that, and I think that angered a lot of people, rightfully so.
Well, he was wishy-washy on everything.
Yeah.
I mean, he did more flip-flops than the dolphin at Marineland, okay? I mean, and seriously, he was against the Liberals' gun grab, and then he pivoted on that. I support it. He was against a carbon tax, and then he pivoted on that. So who are you voting for, right? And by every benchmark, folks, the number of votes, the percentage of votes, the number of MPs elected in the Greater Toronto Area and the 905, Aaron O'Toole failed, compared to Mr. Scheer. So again, do we want to go down that road a third time? That's the definition of insanity.
Yeah, learn from your mistakes. Learn from your mistakes.
And we have another one, Mr. No, okay. And by the way, I should check. Whoa, look at that. It flew by so quickly. Was it good for you?
Oh, it was fine. It was lots of fun, David.
Well, you were a wonderful replacement for Sheila Gunn-Reid and Natasha, so thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
And Sheila and I will be back on Tuesday and Thursday of next week. There will be 2 other rebels to be determined later, as they say in Major League Sports trades, for tomorrow. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I especially want to thank all those who threw a couple of quid our way to keep these bright lights on. In the meantime, folks, as always, stay sane.
Your grandpa was a great man. He fought for the freedoms and rights you hold in your hand. Never take them for granted. Keep your freedom passport close. Remember, son, Grandpa did this for you. Know your rights. Know your freedoms. Get your freedom passport today.